Hello, it's How to Adult. Today we're talking with healthcare policy expert and doctor of doctoring medicine, Aaron Carroll. Is that what it is?
Pediatrics.
Oh,
I'm a
pediatric
pediatrician. Yeah, that's all good.
Take care of the kids.
Yes.
How are they?
They're doing well. In fact, they're doing great. Kids are great.
Kids are your kids or just kids
I
in
meant
general?
kids in general. In fact, that's like an ongoing theme we talk about on our show all the time is that, by almost any metric you'd measure, kids are doing fantastic.
My kid is about to get his 12-month vaccines. Mm-hmm. And this will be the first time I feel like I'm giving him a vaccine and he kind of got to know what's going on.
He still won't remember, though.
No, I'm not worried about him remembering, but I'm worried about him being like, looking at me with the eyes of like, why have you allowed this to happen to me, Dad?
That's possible. Although I still say until they're laying down permanent memories, everything you do is, excusable. You still got a few years.
That doesn't sound like what a pediatrician should be telling me.
That's also what a parent would tell you. You're good for a few more years. You got a few more years. Do-overs.
Right. Oh, man. Well, good. Well, now I'm much less pressure.
Good.
But vaccines are good.
Unequivocal good. Absolutely. Probably one of the best things we've ever done public health-wise.
What do you feel like are the hardest things when, in America specifically, when you're coming out from under your parents' wing in terms of healthcare?
I think, the biggest thing first is trying, establishing yourself and seeing a doctor that's not your pediatrician or not the person that your parents picked out for you.
I only very recently, as a 37-year-old, got a primary care physician. Because I have my GI doctor who was like, I see this guy once a year and he's handling the major problem in my health, but went ahead and did it. If I don't have a primary care physician and I want to go see a doctor, is it okay to just go see whoever's at the walk-in clinic that day?
Yes, and in fact, you can often strike it rich and find a really great doctor that way. But I would say probably still your best bet is you should pick a doctor like you'd pick anything else. Talk to your friends, talk to people who have a doctor they like, and you're looking for things that are different for you. You're trying to screen for.
But But maybe I don't feel like I need a doctor.
Okay.
Do I?
I think that everyone should have one in their back pocket.
Somebody who I have a relationship with already.
Yes, and that,
instead of just going to the walk-in clinic and being like, hello, person who is here right now.
Correct, because I think it's just easier when you have established rapport and you also have, someone that you trust and also someone that, you can talk to and that might know something about your history and your preferences and how you'd like to be treated.
I often, by the time I get to the doctor, I'm like, well, okay, I've brought you this list. It's like 8 things long. Like my hip hurts every once in a while. I don't know what that's about. Is that normal? And they're like, well,
I don't want to say you're not normal, but I don't think most people do that at this age.
How do I make the most out of a doctor visit?
So I think what you do is actually not a bad idea if you go in with a plan to know these are the things I want to talk about.
Instead of being instead of
Mm-hmm.
like if it's like a yearly checkup, you're just like, I don't know, do what you do to me and tell me if I'm sick.
That's how I go to the doctor. That's like I just sit there and I answer questions and I offer nothing. I'm on the stand and they're cross-examining me. Getting back to your question about how do you make the most of it, I think it's having a list, knowing what you want to talk about, not letting your doctor drive the conversation themselves so that you make sure you get to the things that are important. Because doctors are overwhelmed. There's a list of things that they're supposed to do at every visit that is enormous and impossible. There have been studies that showed that if in adult medicine, if they adhered to every guideline that exists, visits would take 16 hours long. It's just not possible to actually get to everything you're supposed to. So they have to prioritize. And often doctors get into their creatures of habit. They'll hit the things that are important to them, but maybe not the things that are important to you. So making sure that those things happen is important.
Right. So when I go in, there's sort of I guess I know this when I go in for a checkup, which I do now, didn't for a long time. And it's just sort of like, these are the things that we do. And that's not based on me, that's just sort of based on guidelines, recommendations.
Well, you hope. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes, let's be honest, some doctors are great and some doctors are not. And some doctors are just doing what they think is right, even if it's not based on guidelines or evidence. I'd say your best doctors are the ones trying to stick to at least the evidence base and what we know we should be tackling.
So what do I want my doctor to do to me when I go to checkup?
So I think a lot of it is, clearly it depends on the age, first of all. It depends on what risk factors you have. And a lot of it is, what we would call in the pediatric world anticipatory guidance of as your child ages, we're like, okay, now he's mobile. Now we have to worry about things that he could get into. Okay, now he might get into water, or he might turn on the faucet and get burned. Or so it's a lot of it is trying to anticipate where are the high risk things coming from and then hitting it. So a lot of that is dependent on, do you have certain diseases? Do you engage in certain risky activities? Again, it's like sex, it's alcohol, it's drugs, it's things like that. And those might shift your doctor into talking about some things. Otherwise, a lot of it's going to be diet. It's going to be nutrition. It's going to be exercise, things that we all know that we should do. It's going to be a physical exam where they're trying to see if anything is wrong, but
Like check and see if you have this hernia thing that people sometimes have. You wouldn't notice.
Most of the evidence out there
Tap
says
on your back.
Yeah, the physical exam is really not useful. It's like the number of things that get picked up that you otherwise wouldn't is incredibly small, which has led some people to believe that we don't even need as much primary care as we used to, or as people thought that we did. But a lot of the still risk-based screening and trying to do things for you, making sure certain things happen, especially as you age. And you start to need certain tests every year. That's what's important.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, has anybody ever like diagnosed pneumonia?
So
they didn't know they had pneumonia and they're listening to my lungs now and I'm like, oh, what a surprise.
So they
What are they listening to?
So they have, which is with the stories that they will tell. The problem is there's no counterfactual. There's no like, if I hadn't have done the physical exam, likely the next day you would have been sick. You would have come to me and then I would have picked it up. And so it's not that you can't tell a story of I picked something up and I found something. It's that people then think, oh, because he picked it up, that's how I got cured. As opposed to knowing that in general we would have found it later.
Yeah, a week later.
Right, and it wouldn't have made a difference. Or it was so subclinical it didn't matter.
Right.
We could have just ignored it.
You diagnosed my disease that was going to go away anyway.
Yeah.
Does a doctor get antsy if I want to talk?
Some doctors will. I would say not all. Good doctors wouldn't, and I think doctors that would fit your mold would not.
That's something that you want to.
So I'll be honest with you, I get antsy. Like I'm much more of a let's do this and let's get out the door. I'm not the best pediatrician. So it's just no. There's no news there. Anyone that watches this. So I may be a good doctor. I don't feel like I'm not like the let's talk for 45 minutes kind of guy.
Well, I mean, also there's other people who have appointments.
Right, and
So I'm always very conscious and sort of worried about this. That I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I feel like maybe I'm too much in that vein.
Well, I go the other way because when I go to the doctor and they're running 10 minutes late, I'm losing my mind. I'm like, how dare they? Like, why? But that's why, because they're talking to somebody else. And so I just went to my GI doctor a week ago and he was running an hour and a half late, but he was talking to somebody who needed his help. So I can't stay angry, but I'm in the room conscious of like, I have to stay on target. I got to get the next patient.
Bring an audiobook with you, Aaron.
I'm not good at that. I should, but
I just headphones be like, this is a nice mystery novel.
Hercule
Poirot's gonna solve this for me. No time. I cannot go to a waiting room without an audiobook. I will murder someone.
No, see, I will be on the phone just checking Twitter constantly.
And that's gonna make you feel better.
No, these days it's not helping at all, which is probably why I was super angry by the time I got in the room, but
right.
I diffused quickly.
Okay, good. As for getting yourself some health insurance, do you think that this is easy?
So I'll be honest with you, I think your hands down best bet young adult is if you can stay on your family's plan, do that. Absolutely. If up through age 26, if you can do that, there's no way you'll get a better policy at a better rate than doing that. Now, that's not possible for everybody. And then, yes, I would say everybody should have health insurance. If not, you just don't know. You're protecting yourself against financial catastrophe. That's the biggest reason that you have health insurance in general. And you can't tell when that's coming. So, yes, and policies for young adults are, for the most part, pretty cheap. And usually you can even find a catastrophic plan. But if you can stay on your family's plan, that's what you really should.
When we say catastrophic plan, what is this? People say this all the time as if everybody just knows what a catastrophic plan is.
But a catastrophic plan in general will have a very high deductible. So it's like, I don't need to use it.
Right. This is really only for if I get cancer or
bad accident. Exactly. I mean, that's the thing that really a young person is going to be most worried about. A car accident or something like that, or something happens to you. But that's the big worry, and that's what would really bankrupt you. So that's what it's for.
And then you've got a bankruptcy, and you're dealing with bad credit for the rest of your life, and you can't buy a house when you're 45 years old.
No, and there's because
you got in a car accident when you were 22.
And not to mention that it probably is going to impact your quality of life. You're not going to get the care that you want, the time you want. You're not going to feel well. It's a whole bad cascade.
It's no good. Why can't we just never get hurt?
That would be one solution. We could also just have a better healthcare system. That would be another one.
So to wrap it up, is there anything that you wish you'd known when you were now you know everything, but when you were just going out getting your first health care?
It's ironic you say now I know everything, because the more I learn, the more I realize we don't know anything. And I think it's almost that I wish I'd known how much doctors were guessing and how much leeway there is in so many of the things we do to sort of choose your own adventure, like choose your path. It's not like you must do this and this and this and this, and that's how I felt medicine was. And a lot of it is, finding a doctor who will explore the options with you so that you can make the best decision for you.
Right. Aaron, thank you for hanging out. This is a book that you wrote.
Yes.
This isn't what it will eventually look like because this is a galley just for me.
It'll be hardback, but I think the art will be the same, but it'll be hardback.
Nice. You can check out what Aaron's doing at youtube.com/healthcare triage. Really great. One of my favorite channels on YouTube. You do fantastic stuff.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks
that.
for joining us on How to Adult. We are at youtube.com/learnhowtoadult. Thanks for watching.
Oh, I got the, oh my God, I got the new Millennium Falcon, the Lego Millennium
Oh,
Falcon.
the big one?
Yeah.
If I had a son who had manual dexterity.
It comes later.
No, but then I would. I think, yeah. Should I just get it and keep it in the basement until?
You know, you almost need to because they run out.
keep making it.
No, because they stop. So I have a number of the big sets, but last year I guess, but it's the Disney Castle, and that was awesome. And that took us a couple months.
I don't know why this is.
I don't know. You look like Nixon when you're doing that.
And real quick, hold that up and I'll grab an insert.
The Bad Food Bible. Physician and popular New York Times contributor
I did
Aaron
not write
Carroll
that.
mines the latest evidence
not
to
write
show that many bad ingredients actually aren't unhealthy and in some cases are essential to our well-being. Did any of that, was it all untrue? Just about you being popular.
There you go, yes.